I feel very honored and privileged to be able to introduce our guest speaker today. I'll read the stuff first and then throw it. Reverend Jill Lacefield has been a student of science of mind since 1990, when she began her study with Reverend Kathy Ann Lewis at the Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. After moving to Chico in 1996, she continued at the center with Dr. Reverend Carolyn McEwen. Reverend Jill received her ministerial license in 2003 and served initially as the youth minister at the former Spiritual Enrichment Center, followed by her appointment as assistant minister there. She has been an associate professor of English and communications at Butte College since 1996, where she currently teaches public speaking. Jill is the author of A Little Cancer on the Side, a survivor's book of laughter and inspiration, a comedian and the mother of one fine young man, her son Liam, who's with us today, who also grew up at the Center's youth program. And that's where I first got to meet Jill around 15 years ago, when our sons were both going to the teen camp together, and I was struck by her kindness and her gentleness and her true love coming outward. And more recently, I was out of touch for a while since we lived in different places, but this last September we reconnected, and she took me in. I was able to live with her for about 5 months, and we laughed together, we cried together. I got to know her on a true soul level, and overall we've celebrated life together, and that's one thing that I think of when I think of Jill. So please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Welcome back.
Do you mind taking that? Yeah. Well, thank you. She didn't mention that sometimes we drank wine together. And a lot of times we whined together. And we did things together we will never tell other people. It is so wonderful to have a playful spirit, to live with. All my friends that many are here today, play is so important. And Reverend Lisa is that, and many of you who know me know that I can't help myself. I'm more irreverent than I am reverend. So anyway, I'm so thrilled to be here today with you. The last time I was here mostly was my son was with Theater ETC. He was the Wicked Witch on this stage. He was Snoopy. He was many different things. So knowing all the incarnations that this center has gone through is really exciting. And I'm thrilled to be with you because it's a really big day. And I'll speak to that a little bit about you calling in your new leadership. In the Basque tradition, Basque people greet each other very differently than we greet each other here. We say to each other, how you doing? How's work? What's up? In the Basque region, people greet each other this way. They say, hello. What have you learned since I saw you last? Hello. What have you learned since I saw you last? What a different core value expressed in that. And it engages us, doesn't it? We may need to think for a minute, but to me, the how you doing, what's up, how do I answer that, What's up? My weight is up. Shut up. Okay, that's my only joke today. There's no time for it. It's really up. But anyway, it's buttoned in. And then, and so, and if you're still breathing, you're alive. And life, we know, is our greatest what? Teacher and teacher. This is the teaching, this field of life. And so when we ask somebody, hi, hello, what have you learned since I saw you last? It is putting in laser focus that inquiry that means the most to us, who we know are spiritual beings having a human experience, which is an odd paradox to live in between heaven and earth. And we're having a human experience of this planet at this time. So I would like to greet you with that and just start again. And if you feel like calling out what you've learned, please do. But also, I'll just invite you quietly to let me greet you that way and see what comes up when I ask you. If it helps to close your eyes, certainly do. Hello, everyone. What have you learned since I saw you last?
Unconditional love. Acceptance, trust, please.
Thank you. Feels kind of good, doesn't it? And now it's your turn to ask me a question. Well, I thought you'd never ask. You took way too long. I've learned that I need glasses. I didn't need that before as assistant minister, but here we go. So, what have I learned since I saw you last? And by that I mean the years when I was your fellow spiritual slogger seeking, your teacher, your friend, your children's youth minister. What have I learned since I saw you last? The most important things that I'd like to talk to you about, and I wish we could all come together once a week and share on this level, but is, of course, those things that I've learned that have contributed to my waking up more and more, because that's my life's goal. I want that level of freedom. I know this isn't it. I know this idea of discrete form is not it. I know the ego mind that wants to classify and divide is not it. I know war is not it. I know that. And I'm just seeking to come into that full realization in this lifetime. Because other people have. Jesus did. Why can't I? Hello, Jesus. Okay. And so I see a couple of people going like this, so I'll speak up more loudly. So what I've learned, I'd like to share with you this morning about awakening. But first, a little refresher. What is it to awaken? Well, it is simply to awaken is to move from the idea and the belief in oneness. We can believe in it, but it moves into the experience of it seamlessly every day. It is to live as if you are in heaven on earth. And there are many awakened beings walking by us today, and in this room, no doubt. I don't know. But I'm not there yet, and so that's why this field of learning is so exciting. To awaken is to have the veil of the illusion of separateness lifted from our eyes once and for all, just lifted. And to see forever the light that we're bathed in. And then to go, oh my God, I was so wrong. Oh my God. And so to awaken is to step out of the projected, egoic shadows of Plato's allegorical cave. You know, this distorted perception that that's reality, into light once and for all. To awaken is to come into an embodied realization that I am not my body. I am not my emotions. I'm not my thoughts. I'm a pure center of awareness. When I first heard that years ago, and I feel it now, I get chills. When we speak truth or we hear it, it activates something in us. And I want to invite you to say that after me, because it's true. I am not my body. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my thoughts. I'm a pure center of awareness. So what have I learned since I saw you last about this awakening? First, I have learned that we cannot awaken alone. We need each other for lots of things. We need each other mostly for this. I've learned that our awakening relies upon our seeing, making the determination to see the light in each and every one of us and in all creation. That's when we see that in the other, it activates our own life. I learned this mostly through the Course in Miracles, which I was in study with many of you here. And this intentional, devotional witnessing, it just activates one and then the other. When we see rightly through the eyes of love, light, truth, everything you know to be God, we lift our brothers and sisters into this light. Their light reflects back to us and animates our awakening. This transaction of light is not an idea that we simply treat for or affirm. Oh my gosh, it's not an idea, it's a practice. It's an energetic practice. And it's not the beautiful song, I am the light, you are the light. You know, there's none of that. Songs are wonderful, affirmations are fine. But this is a primary practice for any of us on the mystical path of awakening. It is a way of life. And you know this too, we are energetic beings floating in this interconnected, interactive field of energy. And we know from quantum mechanics that the observer changes what is observed. You know that? You've heard that. I mean, it's kind of old news now, at least 100 more years. The observer changes what is observed. When I look at you, how I look at you, what I witness in you changes you. My gosh, what a power I have to bind or free you. And what a power you have to bind or free me. And that witnessing, again, has an absolute effect. When I say these things, I experience it again. It kind of slows me down. It's true, you know. So we are that powerful to bind or free one another, and we are using it always. What I do unto you, I do to myself. So please I encourage you to let this be a consistent practice of yours. Again, not an idea, but to go out every day and say, today I see the beloved in every face and everything I see, every leaf. Mary Oliver, the great poet, you know Mary Oliver? She was interviewed by Terry Gross on NPR many years ago, and I caught this, and she said, Terry, every day I go into the world to be dazzled. I go in the world to be dazzled for the first part of the day, and then I spend the rest of the day reflecting on what I saw. This is how children go in. Before they get locked into this idea of separation, and then French writer Anne Nin wrote, we do not see the world as it is, we see it as we are. We do not see the world as it is, we see it as we are. When I had a cafe down at Fifth and Ivy, I had that written on the chalkboard in the bathroom. So through what eyes are you witnessing this creation? And don't worry about, I don't know how to do that, Jill. You don't have to, because that devotion and that commitment gives you agency. Right? You receive the agency when your heart's desire is to awaken. You receive the agency in all manner of unforeseen ways, but also you receive the agency to go into the world and just do it. The Persian poet Jalaluddin Rumi, he's wrote many wonderful things, but one thing he said about this distorted perception of false perception of our separate selves. He said it like this. He said, the truth was a mirror in the hands of God, but then it fell and broke into pieces. And everybody took a piece of it, and they looked at it and thought they had the truth. You know, they turned it back on themselves and thought, well, this must be who I am. So when we decide to go into the world to see the light in each one of us, and everything, and again, all creation, we take that piece of broken mirror and we turn it outward and we reflect. And since there is only light, we are bathed in light truly, we see it when we wake up, then that light reflects back to us. This beloved center, Chico New Thought Center for Spiritual Living, is at such an exciting threshold. You're getting married to a new beloved. Or beloveds. And I know Reverend Christine and Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathy, and I'm so excited because I have a knowing of them all, and whoever is in this place, I get excited. And I'd love to come and participate more. So you have called, though, your level of consciousness has called to this platform a new spiritual leader. And he or she or they have called you into this infinite field of possibilities, and you have just one primary goal with each other. And your teacher is not more powerful than you, but that goal is to catalyze the awakening of each other. Just to keep asking that, not to affirm what you know to be true, that's a thought, that's an idea, but to catalyze the awakening and to ask together, how do we do it more? How do we do it more? And that earnest heart's desire to know God, truly know, will bring all the answers for you. I'm very excited about that. So I just know that this will happen, and I'm excited for you all. But keep this in mind. In the heart and mind of God, you've already formed this sacred alliance with your new leadership. It's already done. And this sacred alliance, again, you do together. We can't do it alone. And please keep it in mind, it's not a sacred alliance to feel good on Sunday once a week. It's not a sacred alliance to protect the ego comfort of each other. That would just be more of the same. It's not a sacred alliance to be spoon-fed wisdom from somebody up here. We are the same, right? Know, as in Johann Wolfgang Goethe's words, this commitment that you have to see the light of each other, all unforeseen manner of assistance will usher forth. It's a long passage where he talks about commitment, but at the end he says, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has magic, power, and genius in it. Begin it now. So it is a new marriage. It's a new day. Commit yourselves to serve each other in this awakening. That's the only thing that spiritual communities exist for. And while we're doing it, we have fun together. We eat good baked goods. We sing together. We gossip together because we got to do that sometimes. But this is the thing you can give each other. When people are come together in community for it's an exceptional community, and it is to awaken. So what else have I learned since I saw you last? I've learned that science of mind is a teaching that I've, joyfully, it's a teaching of principles that I've joyfully tethered my life to, But I've also learned that it doesn't give you a path for seeking God. And I know it might sound like heresy, but it's what Dr. Ernest Holmes said. He said, as he talked and shared his ideas, having studied the mystical traditions of all religions, he said there is a golden thread among all mystical traditions, and that is that there is only one of us here. And he studied those mystical teachings to the level that veil was lifted from his eyes, and he was activated. And how you would have to be to begin a movement that he did. And so he studied those teachings, and so when he said, there is only one life, it is my life, it is God's life, it is my life now, and therefore all is well, he always said it from a place of embodied wisdom, from a full realization. How he found this was his own individual path. How you seek God is your own individual path. How you learn to seek and love and surrender in your heart, because the mystical path is a path of the heart. Science of mind is a path of knowing. Those things are intimately bound. Oh my gosh, they are. Because from that experience of this ancient wisdom that is who we are, we can't escape it, comes out of our mouths declarations of truth that changes things. And I can again feel that I get chills when I talk about this. But it comes out, it changes things when we speak from that embodied conviction. And this is what Holmes knew. So I'm excited to know that your covenant for a new minister includes this, that this minister embraces mystical teachings, but y'all embrace it. Come on. You all embrace it. We use that word a lot today, mystical, mystic. Oh my gosh, it can be hard work. To shatter the ego is no small thing. And so in Science of Mind, I think that it's really important for centers, and in my life, to join these two ideas. To know that, yes, all is well, but I can only say that to the level that I've experienced it. And since I saw you last, when I was assistant minister in 2008 at the Spiritual Enrichment Center on that platform, I've had those experiences because I called it in. I called it in because that's what I want. I want my ultimate freedom and awareness. So I've learned this about the teaching, and I kind of knew that before. But what I want to say is, for me, that calling in happened before I was a minister at the Spiritual Enrichment Center, and during and after. But let me share just specific examples very quickly. In 1995, many of you may remember, I had aggressive cancer back when my son was 6 months old, and I had a stem cell transplant up in Seattle for it. And the day before I went in for a 6-week, I didn't know how long it would be, hospitalization. Didn't know if I'd make it because there's an 18% mortality rate with it. I was at Elliott Bay Bookstore, which is an iconic, place in Seattle, and off the shelf jumped Jack Kornfield's Path of the Heart and Lama Surya Dasa's Awakening the Buddha Within. I had read some Buddhism, but I hadn't read whole books, and I truly, it leapt off the shelf. What's this? In this whole bookstore. So into that hospital room at Fred Hutchinson, hospital, I took those books, and I took St. Francis of Assisi's prayer on a frame, put it on my tray. Lord, let me be an instrument of thy peace, right? It starts. And my experience in that transplant was heavenly. Everything was infused with love. And I don't say that lightly. And as I watched my cells on the whiteboard at the foot of my bed go from 0, or 8,000 red white cells to 0, and I don't know how many red cells to 0 platelets, I had this profound opportunity to feel what it is to be a spiritual being having a human experience of 0 cells. 0. And what I experienced was what I had already started to learn in this teaching in other ways. I'm not my body, and I'm not those cells. Oh my gosh, I'm still here. I can't talk very loudly, I'm whispering, but I'm not just still here. I'm pruned back to an essence that is more me than anything else. It was beautiful. And I'll always forget the many people that came into the room. There was so much love. And one woman from the island of Seychelles, an African-American woman, we fell in love. And a couple of weeks before my procedure, Carl Sagan had been on that floor for, I think, a leukemia that he didn't survive. But I remember lying there thinking, Carl Sagan, how he inspired our generation with his looking at the universe to be dazzled, right? Remember what he said? Billions and billions of stars. And as I lay there, I also visited other rooms in my heart, and I just sent love. Because I was in the trenches, in this very unique opportunity to experience what it is to be a spiritual being, having a human experience of 0 cells. So much love, Our hardship breaks our hearts open in compassion. It's beautiful. Here are my glasses. So that's a little. Fast forward to 2007, 2008, when I was an assistant minister, and I started to feel this thing emerging in me, kind of a breaking up, and I recognized from other dark nights of the soul and periods, my soul was getting activated, and the song, Use Me, O Lord, I Stand For You, goes, use me, O Lord, I stand for you, and here I'll abide. Boy, I am mic'd. You show me all that I must do. And it's a song that a couple of ministers from Charleston, 2 women, had sung. And I just found myself singing it and leaning against my kitchen cabinet and crying. I knew that there was some new reckoning, something new for me. And at that time, I found my next teacher, Diana Nicole, and she awakened through the Course in Miracles over a 12-year period. So by that I mean I would sit with her with other students, and she really she transmitted light. And the first time we met as her students, she said, I'm here for one reason, and that is to facilitate you hearing the voice within you that is always speaking. And there was something about her that made you feel that she had that authority. Like, oh, wow, I would love that. My sister and my brother are fundamentalist Christians, and they're always talking about the Lord speaking to them, and I'm jealous. Lord, look at me. And sandwiched in age between the two. Why are you talking to them? How about me? And since that time, though, I've had that mystical experience of hearing that voice within after really praying for it during that time. I want to listen. I don't want to move any more in this ministry. I don't want to act anymore until I know what my next steps are and what's needed. And so that was part of my prayer during the study of the Course in Miracles. And so one morning, after teaching a class at Butte here at the Chico Center, I went to Rayleigh's to get some groceries. It was a dreary February morning, I think. And I was sitting in the car, and I was feeling this kind of lifelessness, or not up to the my usual capacities, and I'd been feeling that way. But still, it had led me into deeper practice and question and prayer. And so I got out of the car, and I was walking across the parking lot to go into Rayleigh's, and I heard a voice that said, just love my creation for me. Yeah. And it was a voice that was unmistakable, because it was not my voice. And it came out of nowhere. I wasn't just praying in my car. What can I do in Rayleigh's? And so just love my creation for me. And there was not a part of me that would argue with it. As in, you mean your whole creation? The surly ones? The ones that don't get my joke, not them. But no, nothing, because in that moment, my prayer, which had been continual prayer, and the answer were one. Energetically, I was given what I was to do in a voice that I could not mistake. My ego could not do circles around. And so, mind you, this is a time when I felt like I couldn't even smile at people that much. But I go into Rayleigh's, and I don't know what happened, but it was a transformational experience. Everything was light. I can't tell you how beautiful the avocados looked. The cheese curls. And the people, never mind that, the people just smiling at everybody. And I wasn't even there. I was a vessel for that love. A vessel for that love. So grateful. You guys, that was a long time ago, but I wear it on my necklace, like those little pearls you can add to a necklace. I'll never forget it. And then a few weeks later, lying in bed and again feeling, what should I do? But not even having the mind to ask that question. Before I stepped out of bed and slipped on my slippers, I heard, just be of help. You know, and this was a few years ago, and I knew that in my life I've always tried to help, but I knew that this was some other transmission. And so that started to bring me out of that period, because what I got was, I don't need to be feeling full of heart and vigor. I don't need to have an idea. What should I give you? I just need to walk in this world, pick up something that somebody dropped, open a door for somebody. So again, just be that vessel of love. Love my creation for me. And help. Just be of help. Are you guys understanding this? Of course you are. And I hate to just keep talking. I want to hear about you, but raise your hands if you've had experiences where you just knew that you were guided. Yeah, thank goodness for that. It's wonderful. And that's what we're here to do, is to share this with each other. So for me, hearing this voice really roots me deeply in the realization of who I am. Does it always change my behavior? Oh, no. But in these years since I saw you last, I live more and more in that. And there's a lot that's happening these last few years that years ago I'm so glad that I couldn't see ahead. You know, some challenges, both with health and other challenges. But it is so, it doesn't take me long to pick it up and say, oh, it's really nothing. Because it is just an appearance. This is nothing. Look at the love I have in my life with my son, my friends. We know what our true treasures are. The California poet Gary Snyder said in an interview that I heard once, and it just stuck with me. He said, true abundance is needing nothing. So being more and more in alignment, you know, is just satisfying. What could you want other than that? So I really encourage you, as you get ready to get married again, that you help each other cultivate hearing that voice, and to put aside any ideas of, but that's not the God that is in and through. Maybe don't worry about it. Just seek God with all your heart and all your soul, and let go of any preconceived notion that you still have about God. It is beyond our knowing. It's beyond our conceptual mind. But our prayer from the heart that says, show me, teach me, talk to me, it's not in supplication. It's recognizing, again, what Ernest Holmes says. There is a power that is who we are, that is greater than we are. So it is that greater than we are that we can come into personal heart relationship with. And this is what I want for all centers for spiritual living and for myself. So as you enter into a holy alliance with your new leadership, your new teacher or teachers, may you cultivate this practice of listening and teach each other and celebrate together when it happens. One last thing I'd like to share, and I'm just going to drink somebody's water up here. Is it? Oh, thanks. You sure? Does it have the vodka? It does. I teach public speaking, and a lot of times students will say, Ms. Lacefield, I just got so dry. I said, I know, it happens. So drink water, eat lemon drops. So the last thing I'd like to share with you, there are many things that I've been learning, but one thing that is principal in my life, or there front and center, and has been for a while, is that as village elders, we have an obligation to connect with youth in our community and to pass on what we've learned through decades of seasoned, sometimes hard-fought life experience. to pass on what we've learned about everything, but principally what we've learned as wise elders, what it is to be a spiritual being having a human experience of this life at this time on planet Earth. It's an obligation. And we also have an obligation to put ourselves in proximity to youth so we can receive what they always bring into the elders, and that is fresh vision. Now, our children were born into a consciousness so much greater than we were born into. You know, we had to throw off the mantle of traditional religion when we started saying, you know, Mom and Dad, I don't believe in that God out there, only I kind of feel that the light of God is in me. What? Go to bed without supper, you know, kind of thing. Say, what? But our children grew up with Oprah in their living rooms, bringing in Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, and everybody else. And my son and people at Butte, again, I've been there for 20 years, have shown me this. They say, we get that. We stand on your shoulders. So we need, in youth and elder, that connection that is throughout human history. It is, again, an activation. We confer on them the wisdom of just life. They give to us the fresh vision of youth that reinvigorates our hope. And it's very exciting. So years ago in 2008 at a ministers' conference, Matthew Fox, the theologian, writer, and Catholic priest rebel, he was silenced by the church years ago for his acceptance of gays and other non-traditional, non-dogmatic Catholic beliefs. And he was silenced for a year and a half. And at this ministers' conference, he said, I think it was great, he said, some of you have heard this, but I'll tell you anyway, everybody, that when my period of silence ended, the first thing I said was, hello, let's see, what was I saying when I was so rudely interrupted? That's the kind of guy you want to align yourself with. And he's told us many things, and I had read his magazine, Creative Spirituality, while in Seattle and where I'd lived for a long time. And then I knew about it, that he had cosmic masses in Oakland. But he said this, and it went like an arrow to my heart. He said, in no time in history have the youth needed the elders, nor the elders needed the youth. Yet in no time in history has there been such a disturbing disconnection. I went on to a workshop with Michael Meade, and through these two teachings, understand that we have a lot of olders today, fewer elders. Many people weren't initiated themselves into deep wisdom teachings. And also we have fewer grandparents sitting on the steps of the front steps, conferring wisdom on the children, because we're working later and later into life. And we've moved farther and farther away from that extended family, the village elders. So my desire for you as you go on in this new evolution is that just ask yourselves, what can we do to put ourselves in proximity to our youth? Those answers will come. You don't have to think too hard about it. Ask to be shown in your dreams. And you know, they may not come here because they already got this. But there's a whole field out there. Rumi speaks about that field. I'll meet you out there. There are wonderful places to meet them. And I did that. I went down to, Fifth and Ivy and opened 100th Monkey Cafe and Books because I was so led to be at the center of that young adult population. And I did have a partner who knew about cafe work, and she was going to do that. She left before we opened. So nothing would have given me the energy to do something I'd never done before, except knowing and having gotten into better alignment or full alignment with God, that it is not by me but through me. So I'm going to be here on this corner, and I'm going to serve coffee, and I'm just going to greet everybody with love and be dazzled by their beauty. And friends said, are you crazy, Jill? Lots of bros and people down there? I'm not crazy. And I had a wishing, many of you have been there, I had a wishing fountain out back. And so right away I started with the tradition of, here, have a penny, make a wish. And so it was really great to invite them into that little experience. well, what do you mean you have a penny and a wish? And, it's like, I'm too cool for that. But indeed, even the too cool would go out there and say, and they would start to throw in their pennies, and they might instruct each other, say, I think it's better if you throw it over your back. No, you need to throw it like this. I'm like, bros. And I had people that would come in and say, Jill, my wish came true. That fellow asked me out, and I didn't know that he would like me. I'm like, dude, that's great. Somebody came in and said, Jill, it worked. My class was canceled. Yes. And, it was, as Liam can tell you, he worried about me because it's hard work. And I was still teaching at Butte. And again, I didn't have the partnership I thought I'd have. But y'all, I'm not overstating this when I say, and it's just crazy to me because every time I stepped into that cafe and started to turn on the lights and brew the coffee and put on some music, and it was a beautiful place, it was very welcoming, I felt alive. I felt I was right where I needed to be. I still curious, it's a long story, but own that cafe, and I might get back there at some point, never to do anything alone. But anyway, I've shared a lot with you already. There are other things I wanted to say. I don't want to go over time. This is a big deal. I just want to tell you that my heart goes out to each of you, that watching this process of selecting a new minister is so exciting. And well, how much more time do I have? About a half hour?
An hour and a half, 1 minute.
1 minute. Ah, geez. Okay. Very quickly, and this is going to be a little downer, but check this out. Today on this pale blue dot, we call planet Earth, 7 billion brothers and sisters, we have some issues. 800 million people are starving. 1 billion lack clean water. 2 billion lack the sanitation that sustains health. 2 million are dying of AIDS. 180 million are migrants. 4.5 of those are Syrian refugees that have no country. 940 million adults are illiterate, and we've heard recently about the numbers of our own, record numbers of our own American youth dying of drug abuse. So we do stand on this narrow precipice called the tipping point. And each one of us is called to wake up. Taped on my bathroom door is Einstein's words, we cannot solve the problem, what? At the same level of thinking that created it. We know that thinking must come from a leap in consciousness. We know because we are in this energetic field, interconnected field, that each one of us, as an observer, is having an effect. John Boyle, you might be the 100th monkey. Lisa, I don't know about you. Lisa, you might be, anybody here. It is that time when critical mass consciousness, there's enough believing that we have a black president. We have, the protection of gay marriage. And we have a world suddenly enlightened where we say, no more war, this is peace, no more dying, and we have these answers. So I'm excited for you. And I really just challenge the community to serve each other in the waking up. That's what you're here for. In the film, and I'll end with this, Tom Shadyac. He interviews many people. And Archbishop Desmond Tutu speaks a few times. At some point towards the end, he leans into Tom and he said, look again. Let me get it right. Yes, he leans into Tom Shadyac and he says, Tom, God says, you know what? I don't have anybody else except you. Yeah, so what are you waiting for? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.